Apollo 13 space mission. And what happened, this is a really famous story. What happened is the astronauts were up there in space. They were supposed to orbit the moon, and they had to abort the mission. And the reason is the carbon dioxide tanks were round. And the carbon dioxide tanks, two of them, malfunctioned. And the replacement cartridges were square. So it was literally a case where they had to find a way to put a square peg into a round hole, you know? And they only had a couple hours. The carbon dioxide was starting to get saturated inside the cockpit. And the astronauts could have died. They only had a couple hours. So engineers back at the John F. Kennedy Space Center here in Florida had to find a way to fit this square peg into a round-shaped hole using nothing but the materials that were already on the spaceship. Nothing but the materials that were already on the spaceship was the creative limitation in this case. They created this square thing that has that tube. They called it a mailbox rig. And they would not have been able to come to that conclusion. They would not have been able to come to that new innovative idea using nothing but plastic bags and cardboard boxes and duct tape. They wouldn't have been able to make that innovation if they hadn't had that creative limitation, which was the limited amount of tools or limited amount of supplies on the spacecraft. And because of that, they were successful. The astronauts made it back. So the box strategy saved lives. It has. And we see it today. We see it in social media. Twitter is a great example of the box strategy in action. You're only allowed 140 characters. The limited amount of space, the 140 characters that you have, is a creative limitation. Because of that, the hashtag was born. You're only allowed to express your thoughts or your ideas, the news, or your opinions only in a limited amount of space. Because of that, people express their thoughts in new ways. It's not Facebook. It's not just any blog. You have to do it in the most creative way possible. And Twitter has forced users to be as creative as they possibly can because they give them a limited amount of space. And that's a great example of the box strategy in action.